What's up, everybody, and welcome to a Thursday edition of Morning Cuppa Hockey presented by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And we are also presented by Powerhouse, the most complete choice for shaving and beard care, made in Italy since 1948. Powerhouse has been a staple of Italian culture and barbershops globally for 4 generations, so get 15% off at powerhouse-usa.com with our promo code Hockey15 in all caps, Hockey15. That's Colby, Cohen. I'm Jonny, Lazarus, and we got Pete DeBoer joining us in about 5 minutes. We'll have a lengthy chat, with the, I guess, former, future, current NHL coach, we'll call him. We know he'll be back in the league at some point, or at least we'll ask him about it. So big episode today to finish off the week. A lot of coaches' comments, or one specific coach comment yesterday that made its rounds on social media, Colby, which was, I don't know if we'll call it concerning, but I loved the honesty. Some people might not. Have you seen the Adam Foote comment yet?
Yes, I have seen the Adam Foote comments. I don't know. Is that something we are going to play? What did we decide on that? If we were going to actually run Footy's comments, or are we just going to talk about them?
Well, I don't know if all of our listeners heard the comments. I didn't see it till later in the day yesterday because I think it started circulating a little bit around nighttime. But I think, Vic, we should queue up the Adam Foote comments in regards to the Quinn Hughes stuff from yesterday.
I think when I've been around things like that, you're not talking about it. You're not, you're trying not to think about it, but it's there. And you can feel it certain days more than others. I can feel it certain days more than others, and these guys are human. They can feel it. It can affect, for sure, a locker room. I have to give the guys credit. Like, they're in a tough spot hearing the noise, and they keep coming to work every day and keep doing their job, and they're pros. That's what they're supposed to do. But to answer your question, they can hear it, and it probably affects some players more than others. But like I said, I give them a lot of credit for the way they handle it, coming to work, try to win hockey games, and do their job.
Listen, we don't want to have to talk about Quinn Hughes every day, but with comments like that, it's like where do they go from here, right? Like, I kind of love the honesty out of Adam Foote, but I feel like most coaches would try to find a way to brush that off.
Listen, Footy is a guy that, when I think back to my short career in the National Hockey League, right? And I think about some of the people that I got to be around at that level, he's one of the first people that come to mind. I mean, just being there in the summer, training with him. I'll never forget going out to dinner with him. At the end of preseason, we used to play a game. The Avs would play the LA Kings at the MGM Grand. This is pre-Vegas Golden Knights. And he took me out to dinner and a couple of other guys out to dinner that last night before that game. And I just had such meaningful time with him, even though it was only maybe 5-6 weeks of time, that I will have Adam Foote's back until, the day I no longer am involved in this game. And so I am just appreciative of the fact that he hasn't lost that what it is to be a player. He's still probably so connected to the group because it wasn't that long ago that he was playing himself. And I think that genuine, honesty, I think people appreciate that. But I do wonder, and, this is something we can obviously ask Pete. I mean, he's been doing this for so long, and he's been in so many high pressure situations because every team that he coached, he was expected to win hardware.
They're usually getting the guy who's leaving, not worried about the guy who's getting traded.
Yeah, exactly. Like he was expected to win hardware every year, right? So, but I really do appreciate just how genuine he answered that question, because I think people could have seen through it. And he's right. You're not sitting in the locker room being like, Quinn, are you getting traded today? But there's obviously an elephant in the room, and there can't not be. And I know Pete is here, so I'll let you introduce him. And I guess the first question I would ask him in regards to a situation like that, we won't ask him like for this situation, do you address that with your team? Like I'm sure every coach gives you a little bit of a different answer, but nonetheless, a tough situation. I mean, he's got he's got Kevin Dean there with him, who's been around this league for a very long time, and he's worked with Bruce Cassidy and other tremendous coaches, around the National Hockey League. So he has good assistants there he can lean on, no doubt. But we should ask Pete that question. I think his opinion would be a hell of a lot more valuable than ours would be.
Yeah, I agree. So with that, we will bring on Pete DeBoer, but a quick word from our sponsor, Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app. From game day eats to paper plates and napkins, if you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip before, during, and after the game. Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. And our Uber Eats stat of the day, where we always crave the stats, with Pete DeBoer on, we have to mention the fact that he is 9-0 in game sevens, and I guess we'll say 1-0 in Four Nations championship games. We'll count that too as a winner take all game 7 part of the record. But with that, Pete, how are you? It's great to have you here.
Morning, guys. Great to be here. I'm a little early. I'm out in the west here, so it's a little earlier than you guys are there. So I've still got my coffee, but ready to roll.
Well,
where are you?
I'm actually out in Vegas.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
What brings you there?
People,
you know what? Just traveling through. I've still got a lot of connections here. We just wrapped up Olympic meetings, our kind of final management Olympic meetings in Florida, and so little R&R before the Christmas season. So, but happy to be on with you guys this morning.
People don't like to leave Vegas, Jonny, even if they get traded away. I know a lot of guys that
it's tough.
I know a lot of guys that are still making their residence in that area. So
yeah, it's tough.
But before you came on, we were just talking about Adam Foote's comments yesterday, and as someone who's been in every situation you could possibly be in as a head coach, I was just talking about how much I appreciated the time I had with him as a teammate. I mean, he just left such a big impression on me in a 6 weeks that I got to spend with him as a teammate and as a leader. And so I'm like, I want him to succeed in the worst way. And Jonny and I were wondering, when you have this whole situation that is brewing around that team with a superstar player, as a head coach, do you go and address the elephant in the room? Like, how do you handle a situation like that?
Well, it's a great question. First off, and you know this, Colby, you don't work in the NHL as long as Adam Foote has worked in the NHL or coached for a long time in the NHL, unless you're brutally honest. If there's any phoniness to you, the players see through that. With that brutal honesty, sometimes there comes, some blips and some tough conversations. I will tell you, people don't realize, a head coach in the NHL, just game days alone, addresses the media twice a day, in the morning, after the game. So that's 160 times. Then you add all the practice days. Okay, so you're out in that situation, let's say 300 to 400 times a year, and you can't BS people, and there's a difference between making excuses and facts. And when I hear Adam Foote there, I don't see he's making excuses. I think he got asked a question and he's stating the facts. Is this affecting our team? Absolutely it is. And I think everybody knows that. So for him to say anything different, sure, he could sugarcoat it and politically correct it, but that's not in his DNA, and that's why he is where he is and has had the career he's had, and I respect that.
We were kind of talking about it too, though, where you were probably never in a situation that you were coaching a team, dealing with someone being traded of this caliber, right? Like, you were always coaching the teams that people wanted to be traded to. It felt like.
Oh God, I wish that was the case, guys. You guys are forgetting how long I've been in the league. Like I came in with the Florida Panthers. We were god rotten. we unloaded at the deadline. 2 of the 3 years I was there, my first stop in the league. Some of the trade deadline guys we dumped Brian McCabe was our captain. We dumped him to the Islanders. Nathan Horton to the Bruins, who went on to win a Stanley Cup. Him and
Yeah.
Gregory Campbell were a salary dump. So, I have been on that end of it. It's sure nicer being on the other end. I've been on the other end, the acquisition end, a lot more. And that's a lot nicer spot to be in. It also brings its challenges too, because you're bringing in guys into a dressing room that haven't been there and trying to get them up to speed. So that's got its own challenges, but sure is a lot better than the other side. But I have had a little experience on the other side.
Yeah, and I wonder, just looking at that type of situation for you, was there a guy throughout your career that you coveted, and then you finally got him to one of those situations? I mean, just as recent as the fact that you had that big Finnish guy. What do they call? Oh yeah, Mikko Rantanen. He joined in Dallas.
Yeah.
He was a pretty good player. Like when you got that phone call from Jim Nill, I assume you were smiling like you're smiling right now. Learning you were going to get a guy like him.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. The two big ones at the trade deadline or in that situation were Mikko and then Jack Eichel in Vegas. But both of them, Mikko, we had a 2-month runway with, and then obviously I didn't get to work with him going forward. Jack came in and was injured basically until the last month of the season, and we had a ton of injuries, and I was let go at the end of the season and didn't get to work with him. So those are two big names that it would have been nice to have had the opportunity to move forward with, but I didn't get that. I can tell you the best guys we've acquired at the deadline, the 2 Stanley Cup runs we went on to the finals, one in New Jersey and one in San Jose. The San Jose one, we acquired, a couple guys that I had coached before at the deadline. Not big names, Danis Zubris and Nick Spalling.
Yeah,
who
remember
I
Zubris
had
from the Flyers growing up.
Yeah, who I had in different spots. And they kind of came in on the 4th line in San Jose and solidified our group. And, we lost to Pittsburgh in the Stanley Cup final that year. And so, sometimes it's not the big splash guy. Sometimes it's those role guys that come in and just kind of solidify your group that are just as important.
Yeah.
And go, Colby.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, you mentioned Soupy and Nathan Horton. I mean, I was there for that 11 run, Pete. And, I know Horty got hurt, which was obviously a terrible thing because he never got physically right again, which is tough. At least he got a contract before he really had to kind of shut it down. So I'm happy for him on that. But, Greg Campbell, I mean, Soupy was so important to that team, that whole 4th line with him and Horty and Daniel Paille, the Merlot line, as they were well known. Like, we talk about it all the time. You look at all the Stanley Cup champions, like they all had a bottom 6 that could punch you in the face. I mean, even Marshy last year for Florida, like he played on the 3rd line. And so it's so important to have those depth guys. So it's kind of refreshing to hear you say that, because it doesn't usually, like, Jonny's a huge Rangers guy. He's from New York. He covers that team. When Kaner got traded to the Rangers, as good as Kaner is, it didn't have the effect that a few years prior when they brought in Kopp and they brought in Mott and some of those guys that could play a little more up and down your lineup. So it's interesting to hear you, a guy who's been in those situations at the helm, talk about that kind of thing.
Yeah, and you know what, and you're right on Soupy. I mean, he was a really underrated ad for them. I remember that trade because I was on the Florida side, but Nathan Horton was the big piece of that, and Soupy was kind of secondary piece. And you're right, at the end of the day, probably played a bigger role than any of the guys they brought in there at the deadline. So, yeah, you know what, it's interesting. When you're bringing people into the dressing room, there's a lot of issues you got to debate and throw around, including chemistry and fit and things like that. And but it's proven that those depth guys sometimes are the most underrated acquisitions and the most important.
I want to ask about just like this year too. I mean, I heard Peter Laviolette talk about it on Leafs Morning Take, who our producer Vic also works on that show and does a great job, and just how much he's like enjoyed like living his life this year, like stepping away from the game. And I'm sure he'll find his way back into coaching and whatnot. But for you this year, have you enjoyed the time off, or has it been a little different just with how things ended last year? Has the break been nice, or was it a different experience for you, obviously, with the way things ended in Dallas?
Well, you know what? I've been meaning to reach out to Pete actually and catch up with him. I'm sure he's enjoying it. I think he's on a beach in South Florida somewhere. He's got a place, so I'm
He
sure
did the
he's
siren in
enjoying it.
Carolina the other night.
That's right. I did see that.
Yeah.
You know what? I've been my experience has been a little different. I've just been crazy busy. This Olympic coaching job has given me an opportunity to really stay involved, and it's been much bigger than I even thought. They basically said to me, if you're available, we're going to use you. And I said, I'm available. And I went to, we had Olympic meetings in August in Calgary. And then I went on a site visit to Milan in October to check out the facilities and the Olympic Village and things like that. And then on the management side, they've included me in all the management meetings on personnel. So it's been more full time than part time. I've enjoyed every minute of it. I'm glad I haven't just had to sit and relax. At the same time, I'm not going to lie to you. I did not miss training camp, not for 1 minute at the NHL level. But once the season starts going and you're watching games, you do miss it, and the juices start flowing again, and you miss the day-to-day coaching and digging in with a group that you get at that level.
Well, there's like 5 different areas that I want to go and talk about with you next. I mean, first off, you've got the Holy Cross hat on right now. And when you and I were talking, your boys came through the, NTDP, USHL, then college. You're probably for the first time, and we were talking about this, over the last couple of weeks, you're getting to watch Matt play some games live. And I got to think that's not a bad trade-off, right? You want to be in the NHL as a head coach right now, but getting to see your boys live, I mean, how much are you enjoying being able to be a hockey dad for once and who knows how long?
Yeah, it's a great question, Colby. You know what? That has been the silver lining, because you miss all of that. I've had 2 boys that played minor hockey. Both started, a big portion of their minor hockey careers in New Jersey system, like you did. Under some great leadership and John DeNorsha and the Rileys and some of the great people there. So, Colby was there in the heyday of New Jersey hockey with Shattenkirk and Van Riemsdyk, but they pumped out they had a lot of good players in that area, and they're still coming out, including Charlie McAvoy and on and on. So, I felt fortunate that we were in that area, because what I'm getting at is I wasn't able to be around. So it was always those people, the coaches you were handing them off to, the mentors around those areas that really played a huge part in their development, because I wasn't able to. So, I've always been thankful for that. But that is one of the big sacrifices of being an NHL coach for 17 years, that you do miss those things. I did get to coach Matt, who's at Holy Cross now, at the Quebec Pee Wee tournament. I got fired from the New Jersey Devils on December 26th of the year he was going to the Quebec Pee Wee tournament. So it was I had the Quebec Pee Wee tournaments in February. So John DeNorsha asked me if I wanted to help out and coach. And funny story, I had been to the Stanley Cup finals coaching 2 years before, and USA Hockey gave me no put no value on that. I had to start right from scratch. No waivers. I had to start right from scratch and do the whole coaching model all the way through in order to be able to be on the bench in February. So
no way.
I've
That's
done
insane.
They're
True story.
tedious. I've done them. They're tedious. Like I coach at the junior level, Pete, in the North American League that just happened out of the clear blue last year. They made a coaching change a couple months into the season, and George Havlin, who's Mike's brother, was like, come do this with me. So I had to do all that as well. And I'm like going through this kind of stuff, and I'm like, click, click. I mean, it took hours to get through that stuff.
Hours.
Yeah. So,
Hours.
yeah, I'm laughing.
But worth every minute. But really, I think I told Colby on a text that, my son, who's a senior now at Holy Cross, played 2 years in the USHL before that. I've probably seen him live 3-4 times before this year in a game in the last 4 or 5 years. And I've probably seen him 10 times live already this year. So that's been the great blessing, of this. And, you don't realize till you get off that treadmill, how much of this stuff you do miss.
I will say too, though, I feel like I got to earn my flowers with you a little bit. When you were coaching in Jersey, I was playing for the Rockets, so you hopped out on our practice sheet with your son Jack, I think, a couple of times with Bob Thornton. So I got to experience a Pete DeBoer practice myself as a 16, 17-year-old player. But I feel like this question comes up often, right? Like when you have kids who play college hockey, do you ever like text their coach and be like, hey, my son needs to be doing this more? Like, it's always a funny thing when they're NHL parents being coached by college coaches and like how those parents might react to like the way their kids being treated or whatnot, or if you're just hands off and let the coaches do their thing.
You know what? It'd be, I believe I'm hands off. I think I've always taken an approach that because I coach, I know the kind of conversations I want to have with the players' parents that I've coached. And I coached junior hockey for 15 years. So, the last thing, I think your job as a parent is to pick a good spot, pick good people for him to be around, and then let them do their thing and step back and enjoy the ride. That's my philosophy on it. Now, I will tell you that, at time to time, some of those coaches have reached out and said, hey, what do you think about this? And I'm more than happy to provide an opinion, but I don't think it's my role. And as a coach on the other side of that, those guys are juggling a million things. The last thing they need is a parent calling, about their son and some of those things. So, that's never been my philosophy. It's been more pick good program, pick good people for them to be around, and let those guys do their thing.
Yeah, I have Rand Pecknold's son on my team, and I have Rick Kowalski's son on my team.
Killer, yeah.
And I got to tell you, I beg them to help coach their kids. Like I say to Killer, I'm like, hey, I gave him all of the access, like my access to our video program. And I said, any moments that you will give me and us, even if it's just watching shifts with your son, please do it. Like I know that I have so much to learn as a coach that I'm literally saying to I spent an hour with Rand on Monday because our 5-on-3 is struggling. Our 5-on-4 has been solid, but our 5-on-3 is struggling. And I said to Rand, I have no idea how to coach a 5-on-3. I thought 5-on-3 was just put 5 guys on the ice and let them make plays. Yeah. Like I don't remember, even with Bruce Cassidy, like I don't remember him over coaching our 5-on-3. It was mostly just here's a look, here's a play you guys can look for. So Rand spent an hour with me going over clips and showing me little things I never remotely would think about. So I feel lucky to have those guys in my corner, and have those guys help. And I'm probably annoying Pete for as much as I ask them to do, but they've both been awesome as far as hockey dads go. And
that's the other side of it, Colby, is that I'm sure the coaches like you, there's a little reluctance to always pick up the phone too and go, I keep bugging this guy, but good on you, because what I really think, the beauty of coaching, it really is sharing. My hockey development was all about some of the great coaches I came up in the Hockey Canada development model, but it was all the great coaches that shared, Dave King and Mike Babcock and Ken Hitchcock, and on and on. I mean, the sharing in our game in the coaching fraternity is what makes us all better. So, and I think we're all more than happy to do that anytime the phone rings.
Well, Pete, I got to ask this question because Colby was talking about coaching on the power play. And he mentioned to you that I was a big Ranger fan, still a big Ranger fan growing up, but
Yeah,
there's
I'm sorry
one
to hear
power play
about
goal. It's okay. It's okay. That 2012 that 2012 conference final still haunts me, but there's one
that was
specific
tough.
goal. One specific goal that still haunts me, and I think you're probably going to know what I'm talking about. The best power play goal in the history of the NHL. How many times did you and Adam Oates watch this on replay in the coach's office after the period? This is the prettiest goal of all time. All five guys on the ice on the power play touching the puck. Like that's
And
it.
for those people that are audio only,
money.
that was from the 2012 conference finals, Rangers Devils 5-on-3 goal. Everybody touched
5-on-4. 5-on-4
goal.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. We have a lot of people that are audio and they're not here live, so I just want to make sure I give it a little bit of narration. But go ahead, Pete. Sorry to cut you off.
That was the second best goal of that series. The best one was Henrique in overtime in game 6 to eliminate the Rangers and for us to go to the Stanley Cup final against LA. But Adam Oates was an absolute offensive genius coaching, and he still does it. Had an unbelievable way of connecting with great players, and on that team, we had Kovalchuk and Parise on that power play. I think Henrique's out there, but Eliash. I think that's another part of it too, especially for young coaches out there. They're listening. It's really become a specialized sport. If you can dial in on an area that you're passionate about, let's say it's power play or penalty killing or coaching defensemen. It's really becoming almost football-like in how we build our staffs. There's specialty areas for everything, skill development. So, if you can get passionate about an area and get really good at it and coach it really well, everybody's looking for guys that have those specialties. And Oatsy was an offensive wizard and a power play wizard.
Yeah. Well, if we're talking about coaching specialties, obviously for you, for now, and this could obviously change, but for now, the next thing for you would be coaching the Olympics. And, you talked about how it's become a full-time role. What for that team in particular? I mean, that staff, you, Coop, Butch, I mean, that's like hockey royalty in Canada. Although your boys, having played with the red, white, and blue, I wonder how that rivalry goes within the house. But what is your specialty for that staff, Pete? And how close are you with that roster? I mean, we're probably a few weeks away from an announcement. All the talk is about, are the young guys going to push their way onto the roster? Is it going to be one? Is it going to be two? What's the goaltending going to be like? I mean, there's so many questions for a team that just went out and won a Four Nations tournament, one of the most entertaining things we've seen in who knows how long. So where are you at with all that stuff with Team Canada? Because I think that's a lot of the big talk right now, other than the fact that I know you were the one who designed the rink and you wanted to make it shorter because you thought it would benefit Canada more.
Yeah.
You know what? The other guy on our staff is a good Philadelphia Flyer, Rick Tocchet.
I forgot Talk. How can I forget Talk?
We got a great staff. We basically, I think the U.S. did the exact same thing. I know they did. The same staff that went to the Four Nations has carried it over into the Olympics. We basically are carrying over the same roles we had. I ran the defense and the penalty kill. Butch ran the power play. Talk was at the offensive end of the bench with Coop and did a lot of specialty situations, face-offs, ozone stuff. So, that's how we've kind of divided it up. And the benefit of keeping the staff together from the Four Nations, and I'm sure Sully would say the same thing with the U.S. staff through the Olympics, is I think we learned a ton at the Four Nations about our group, about style of play, about what systems we felt worked, what didn't work, what we feel that'll look like at the Olympics. So, the consistency of the staff allowed us in the summer to really take a look back at the Four Nations and keep the things we wanted to keep, throw out and fix the things that we thought wouldn't work at the Olympics or we needed to improve at. So that's been a great process. And when you get in a room with those type of hockey minds, it's awesome. You always come out a better coach every time we get together and meet in a room. And we have a lot of fun too. Our last coaching meeting was in Tampa, and Coop rented a couple chip fishing charters, so we got out and talk some hockey on the water too. But I think for me, the Olympics. Listen, I got involved as a coach. My first Hockey Canada, representing my country, coaching. Joe Thornton and Patrick Marleau were under 18 players, so they were 17 years old. So think about how long ago that was. They hadn't even been drafted in the NHL yet. So that was my first opportunity to represent my country in the coaching realm. And over the years, I've done World Juniors and World Championships, but this is really the pinnacle of international coaching, and maybe the highlight of my coaching career is being able to coach in an Olympic Games. It's a pinch me type moment for me, and I'm glad I'm going to get to experience the whole thing. Because I'm not with a team. I get to, we get to the village a week early. We get to move in. We get to get things ready. We get to see some other events. Once the event starts for us as coaches, there's not a lot of time to enjoy that experience. So I'm going to get to do a little bit of that. And so it's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
How difficult is it? Let me just follow up for a second, Jonny, because I'm so curious. And we've talked about this a lot with Team USA, with Mike Sullivan. There's players that play for Coop right now that are obviously in the mix for this team. I guess this is sort of a hypothetical that I have to ask you, but you were coaching last year when Four Nations came up, and there were probably guys vying for spots on that team. But like, how hard is it for Mike Sullivan when he's got two players that are in the running to make the team, or even for John Cooper, like you can look at the multiple guys from his team, but the carryover from that when it comes to your relationship with your players, like if a player doesn't make the team that plays for one of you, because it's bound to happen between Butchie, I mean, Travis Sanheim, Travis Konechny, right? Those guys played, maybe they're on the team, maybe they're not. So like, how do you manage those relationships with your players when you you're wearing two different hats right now, which is not normal for, a regular season for an NHL bench boss?
Yeah, it's a great question. And in the past, it has blown up before. I think the one people remember is probably Marty St. Louis and Stevie Yzerman, in Tampa. So, I think what people have to understand, the first thing is I think you have to be, very forthright with your players, and they have to understand that coaches and even management, it's not a one person decision. We've got Doug Armstrong, Jim Nill, Julian Brisebois, Kyle Dubas, Don Sweeney in the management group, and then we got John Cooper, Pete DeBoer, Rick Tocchet, Butch in the coaches group, and Misha Donskoff and Scott Salmon. So you got 11, 12 decision makers there. So
I love that you named yourself.
Yeah. But there's 11 or 12 votes there. And so one guy is not making that decision. You're not Rick Tocchet's not going to Travis Sanheim, and Travis Sanheim or whoever it is can't look at Rick Tocchet and go, hey, you're the reason I'm not on this team. There's 12 votes in that room, And we're all going to go to bat for our players because we know them, and I think players understand that. But you're only one vote and one voice in that room on that. So I think the guys get that.
Is it fair to say we have a couple comments in our chat, and I feel like I just have to ask you? Is it fair to say, because of what you've just talked about with the Olympics and how you want to be so present for the Olympics, that you're not necessarily itching for an NHL job right now if it came available to you before the Olympics? Like, do you want to be, fully immersed in that experience? Or obviously, if the right situation came up, you'd have to consider it?
Yeah, I think for sure if the right situation came up, you'd have to consider it. I mean, it's the best league in the world. I do want to coach again, and I think I'm ready to coach again and make a difference if I went in somewhere. But if it doesn't happen, I'm at peace with it too. I've got a lot of things going on, including some great family time and the Olympics that are in the near future. And my hockey journey has been exceptional. And I think every path I've gone down, every crossroads I've been at, I've always trusted the process that everything happens for a reason, and it's always worked out. So, whatever that future holds, I'm at peace and comfortable with it.
Are you paying closer attention to certain teams as a guy who's on the sidelines right now, just to make sure that, hey, if this were to become a team that had a vacancy, I'm already dialed on how they're doing things? You've already looked at their video, or is it a little more of a laid back, just keeping an eye on the whole league in general and just making sure your fingers on the pulse, which you're doing for Team Canada anyway?
Yeah, Colby, you know what? I've got too much respect for how hard that job is, coaching the NHL, to be sitting here watching, hoping guys fail. I just, I'm not built that way. So, I haven't. At the same time, 17 years in the league, I think I've got pretty good knowledge of every team in the league, and kind of what they're going through. And I am watching a ton of games from an Olympic evaluation point of view. I'm also watching, from a system style of play point of view, more with like, what's the latest trends in the league, what's working, because every year, there's subtle changes to that. But I'm not the guy that's going, oh, this team's lost 3 in a row, I'm going to dial in on them and hope this guy gets fired because hey, listen, I've been that guy, and it's a tough spot to be in, and it's too tough a job and I've got too much respect for it.
Can I ask you about a trend?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to say if it's a pet peeve, but now in the NHL, every single power play is doing the drop pass, right? And it seems like the PKers are now studying and learning how to draw a penalty on the guy who makes the drop pass to continue his path moving forward, and the PKer gets in the way, and then bang, it's a pick and it's interference. That's a trend now, I feel like. How the hell can a power play breakout avoid that? Because I get pissed off every time it's called when a PKer knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that because, we were talking about it actually with our coaches staff. We got in a conversation about it because, I don't know if you guys remember, but the drop probably came in. I probably first saw it in Europe at a World Championships, probably 8-10 years ago. Was when you first started to see it, and like any trend, slowly it got adapted. Certain teams were doing it. Now everybody does it, and they do it almost every time now. So, and I think we're getting to the end of the cycle where there's going to be something next, because teams are coaching the success out of it. That's just what coaches do. We find ways to make some of these trends obsolete eventually. It takes sometimes a decade to do it, but we eventually do, whether it's a neutral zone trap, or the left wing lock or the drop on the power play. So, I'm interested. I'm going to be watching a lot of European hockey because a lot of those trends start over there. Just because I think it's
Interesting.
easier to, yeah, I think it's easier to put it in over there. There's more of an open-mindedness to some of those leagues over there to trying new things as opposed to North America, where there's a feeling over here where you have to be doing what the Stanley Cup winner did, and if you try anything different,
Yeah.
it better work or you're getting fired. So, uh, so that's usually where it starts. But it'll change like trends always do, and I think I'm excited about what's next because I think it's around the corner here as far as power plays go.
Yeah. Well, I also feel like the old 1-3-1 has now morphed into a 1-1-3.
Yeah,
And I feel like I see everybody doing that in the neutral zone now and making it difficult with sort of a new look 1-3-1 with that 1-1-3 and just trying to cut
yeah.
the ice in half. And so, but I'll tell you, Jonny, I'm impressed with that question, by the way. I thought that was a pretty smart thing for you to say and for you to pick up
Yeah.
on. So I'll give you a little bit of love. I don't do that
Especially,
often.
especially for a New Jersey Rocket player, huh?
Yeah.
Comes out every now and then. Comes out every now and then, Pete.
Pete, I just have one. I just have one more for you because, and I want to go back a little to your time in Dallas, which obviously, when you zoom out, a wildly successful run in Dallas, only one team can win. It does feel like you're always right there, and it's it's been widely reported, but for a guy who's coached as long as you have, you've been fired, right? And I think any of us who work in this game, I've worked for two teams and been fired by two teams. It's part of the job, right? Different. I was never a coach, so I'm not saying it's apples to apples broadcast or whatever, but it happens to everybody. When you look back at Dallas, in particular, a place where you had a lot of success, and obviously at the end there was a lot of noise about Ottinger and all that transpired in that. And I'm just curious because it's actually more of a learning. I'm looking for some learning help here when it comes to managing the relationship with the goaltender, because I feel like it's the one position that I can't help. I don't know what to tell our goaltenders. The puck's either getting saved or not getting saved. We don't have a goalie coach. And I'm always like, do you get him out? Do you leave him in? And I never really, I don't have a feel for it at this point. And so for you, how do you manage those goaltending relationships? And do you look back and reflect on that one in particular and feel like, I guess what if is never the right decision? That's our job to be Monday morning quarterbacks. But how do you go about that with your goaltenders in particular?
Yeah. Well, it's a great question. You know what? I listen. It's a unique position. At the same time, you know, you have to have some perspective. I think I mentioned this in one of the articles I did. I pulled Jake Ottinger one time the entire year last year during the regular season in 56 games. So it's not like I'm a trigger finger, happy goaltender, pull guy. I understand about confidence and letting them battle through and finding their groove and all those things. At the same time, when you get to an elimination game and you've gone to the conference finals 3 years in a row and you're down 2-0 in a game, everything goes out the window other than, how can I flip the script here and give us a chance to win? And you're looking to use every tool in your toolbox at that moment. And they're split second decisions. It's not like you have any runway after that game in order to, rewrite the ship. It's over. Your season's over in 40 minutes or 45 minutes or 50 minutes, whatever's left in that game at that point. So, I think at that point, unfortunately for coaches, all bets are off, and the only thing you can do is there's no agenda other than what's gonna shake this up and help us win a game and stay alive in order to play a game 6 and go to Edmonton. And you call a timeout, you blast your team, you pull the goalie. That's what you do. Those are your options, really. You can bench some guys, or you can sit quietly on your hands, and you probably get scrutinized. If you lose that game the same way, you're scrutinized for sitting on your hands with your hands in your pocket doing nothing.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
you know what? There's no,
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's what we get paid to do. And
Yeah.
if that decision works, you're a genius and you
hero.
keep moving
Yep.
on. And if it doesn't, and listen, I've had a lot of those situations over the years break my way, and they have worked, and that's why my playoff record has been pretty good. But that one didn't. And you got to own that then, and you do. My one regret is just, probably a lot like footy. I got asked a question particularly about Jake after the game, and I was too factual and brutally honest. I should have sugarcoated, but it was really raw, and I apologize for that, because there was a lot of frustration in our entire group. I think in coaching now, you get runway if you're coaching a rebuilding team. You get a longer runway, and you get a longer runway if you win a Stanley Cup, like John Cooper did, or Jared Bednar did.
Yeah.
If you're anywhere in between there, your runway is really short. You've got to do one, or you got to be coaching one of those teams, or you better win. And unfortunately, we were close. Really proud of our record and the things we did there. I love that group of guys. We won a lot of tough fucking games. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
You're good. You're good.
Over-
More the
over-
more the better.
Yeah.
A lot of game 7s, a lot of road games over the 3 years I was there to advance to get to where we did those 3 years. But it didn't work out, and you've got to own that and move forward and get better from it. And there's always things you learn in losing more than you learn in winning. And there's things that have made me a better coach for all those experiences.
Yeah, I mean, that's, listen, I don't think you could have said that any better. And I know our listeners are really appreciative of your honesty. And obviously, like you said, like you could have sugarcoated it, but I think everyone appreciated the brutal honesty in the moment, right? Even if it wasn't in your favor. I think people that didn't have a dog in the fight were like, wow, like that's a coach giving a real hindsight answer, I only got one more question for you, Colby. I don't know if you have any more,
No,
but
go ahead, yeah.
Colby and I, we both do color commentary for college hockey. And I think something that we always say about the college hockey players is this guy's a coach's dream, right? Like, he does everything. 200-foot player, skill, heart. You don't have to teach him anything. And you've coached a lot of superstars, right? Like the Kovalchuks, the Thorntons. You can name them all. Obviously, last year in Dallas, you had a ton too. But who's like the one guy that was like your coach's dream? Like the guy who maybe doesn't get the shine that you just and I'll curse for you. The guy you fucking loved the most. Who maybe isn't like really the bright shining star.
Yeah. Wow. So many guys, that's a really hard one, because, when I think back over the years, I had so many special guys, and all for different reasons. Like, there wasn't never a one perfect player. My junior career was, Mike Richards comes to mind, captain of the Philadelphia Flyers, just a warrior of a kid. Just a silent assassin that led. He knew exactly what to do physically on the ice, whether it was to get in a scrap or score a big goal or a shorthanded goal. Like, he just big moment guy. At the NHL level, I mean, that list is so long of guys that I just love coaching. I'd be doing a disservice to too many of them just to name one or two. I can tell you, Joe Thornton, Joe Pavelski, Brent Burns, that San Jose team, probably the most fun team I've ever coached. Those guys were characters, and I was coming out of New Jersey at the time, where I had a great experience. I love working for Lou, but it was buttoned down,
experience.
but it was buttoned down tight. And I went out there, and these guys had the ZZ Top beards, and they're walking around with their shirts off, and they're playing cards
Direct
on the
deposit.
plane, and it was just such a polar opposite, refreshing experience for me, and we had so much fun with that group. That was probably my favorite group that I've coached.
All the Joe Thornton stories are fucking unreal. Like,
He's
he
legendary.
seems like the best guy
Legendary.
ever. Yeah.
He's legendary.
Those were fun teams to watch. So, Pete, it's funny, and we'll let you go here. You've been so gracious with your time.
Yeah,
I've
thank you
told
so
this
much.
to our audience here, but listen, I still blame my agent because Jordan Newman, we came up to Kitchener. I was 15 years old, so we're going back 27 years now, and met with you and Spotter. Matt Lashoff was running your power play that night, but he was moving on to pro the next year, but I'll never forget it. You said, you know what? I'm going to make you a right winger. And that lit me up because I had just gotten turned back to a defenseman in 9th grade, and I didn't like it. I wanted to be a forward, and you're like, I'm going to put you at right wing. So I blame Jordan Newman. My career would have been longer in the NHL if I would have come and played for you and played right wing. So.
Well, you know what, Colby? I think you made the right decisions. You got a Boston University degree, and you know what?
Right.
And we've talked about this, but thankfully, the best thing that's happened here is kids at 15, 16 don't have to make that decision anymore,
Yeah.
which is, such a life-altering decision. They can do both, and that's the best thing that's come out of all these new rule changes.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, listen, I would have played for you, and then I would have gone to BU. You know what I mean? Had this been X amount of years prior. And I mean, look, your boys, they went through the US system, and I'm so glad you mentioned John DeNorsha, John Riley, Rich Eby, those guys, the Atlantic District people. I mean, I love those guys. They mean John Riley. They just mean so much I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for those guys. So they speak very highly of you too. Like, their faces light up when your name comes up. So you left a big impression on those guys for sure, Pete. So thanks for your time today. This was,
thank you so much.
This was awesome.
Seriously.
I mean, I this is one of the best conversations we've ever had with someone. So we're hoping for a silver medal for you at the Olympics, but hopefully your PK stays perfect and you get a silver medal. That, for us, that'll be a win. All right.
I'm going to be sorry to disappoint you, but that's all right. Merry Christmas,
you
fellas.
Probably will. You too.
You too.
You
too.
All right. We'll see
Thanks,
you.
Pete.
See you in a
guys.
college drink. All right. See you.
Colby,
right.
that was funny. I didn't know you had that in you. I hope you get a silver medal. That was good.
I have to tell you, Johnny, two of the most, like, those were two tremendous questions you asked at the end of that conversation. Like tremendous questions. And
Thank you.
You have this sweet way about you of disarming people, but then when you come with like a really smart question,
Catches them by surprise.
You asked two questions that I couldn't wait to hear him respond to. I wasn't going to my computer to send a tweet to keep pumping the show or whatever. Like, those were phenomenal questions that you asked. So I don't give you enough or a lot of love on this show, but I when you deserve it, I'll be first in line to give it to you.
You know what, though? I really loved his answer about the Ottinger situation, because in reality, it is a lose-lose, right? Like, that's basically what he said. If I don't make the change, I'm looked at as, like, my hand. I sat on my hands and didn't do anything. Like, I think hearing him say that was almost like, wow. Like, it's kind of wild how it turned into like this whole big story, when in reality, like, 2 goals in the first however many minutes, like, you got to do something to change the mojo.
And he also could have he could have just not answered it too. I mean,
sure.
I'm sure it's not something he's like, hey, raise my hand, let me talk. You know what I mean? So he very easily could have, not to mention he got up at 6 o'clock in the morning to do this with us. So, I mean, I'm sure he's an early bird. Most of these coaches, I mean, I've said this about Rick Tocchet before, like, and I didn't get a chance to ask him this question and I had written it down, but these guys, they're up at 6 a.m. and their brain is thinking about their teams and their hockey and winning and and for him, for him, it's Team Canada right now. And it's going to be, look, the U.S. team has John Tortorella in a similar situation who's only focusing probably on Team USA right now. But I got to say, that's a leg up for Team Canada. Having Pete DeBoer, one of the great masterminds in our sport, fully focusing on Team Canada for this whole lead up to the Olympics, like, that's a leg up. It is, because he doesn't have to worry about managing his own team day to day. And Jenna says he's part of the 6 a.m. club. We saw you were a little.
We
late
have a lot
today,
of them.
Jenna. You were a little late today.
We have
Jenna.
a lot of the early risers.
We did notice your tardiness today, Jenna. So we'll give you a dash on that. But luckily, you've got so many pluses to your name that one little dash isn't going to fully hurt you. But that was tremendous. Like, I'm so glad that worked out. Like I said, I've known Pete for so many years, 27 years. I've been able to cross paths with him, and I've always felt like, he does his media scrum. Then I get the opportunity to just chat with him one-on-one outside the room, just catching up, you know what I mean? Like, on everything and anything. Like he said, we've talked all these years about how it's a shame that these 15-year-old kids have to make these decisions. But, like, I always got an opportunity to see him in the non-media circle. You know what I mean? And you get to see somebody who has a personality and who's an actual human. And so, it's Jim, I wouldn't quite say that. It's more of an acquaintance for that long, running in the same circle. Jim's giving me, I think Jim's taking a shot at you, John.
Damn, I should have asked if we could be best friends at the end.
But yeah, listen, I hope for all of you that, again, you don't get to see him in that light. I think everybody should just have that be a little bit of a breath of fresh air, just kind of getting to see behind the curtain with a guy who, I mean, look, if you watch the NHL for the last 20 years, this guy's been in a lot of the biggest games around the NHL for 20 something years, whatever it's been. So, 15 years, 20 years, whatever it's been. So, that was great. That was that was a very enjoyable conversation to have, Johnny. Probably one of the best that I feel like we've had on here.
Yeah, no, I fully agree, and I feel bad that I'm in a hotel in North Dakota, and my Wi-Fi was definitely struggling a little bit there. I felt delayed.
I had no idea.
No. In the beginning, when we were talking over each other a little bit, I think it was because I was delayed, like at the start there.
It only happened the one time.
Yeah, I do want to give a quick word from our sponsor, JP Wisers, and I want to address the chat a little bit, Colby. Since it's Thursday, we can kind of like interact with the chat and have a little fun going into the weekend. But just in time for the holidays, the perfect gift for the hockey and whiskey lover in your life has officially arrived. JP Wisers, the official whiskey of the NHL, is rolling out the brand new 10-year-old NHL gift pack built for fans who want to celebrate the game in style. Inside, you'll find a bottle of JP Wisers 10-year-old Canadian whiskey, an NHL team cocktail book, team-branded glassware, and a hockey-inspired stir stick to complete the set. And the best part, each pack includes one of 32 collectible NHL team cocktail glasses, so you can grab your favorite team or start collecting all 32 this season. This holiday, give the gift of great whiskey and even better memories with JP Wisers. We did have a question in the chat from Laffy MYR13. It was about like how Mike Sullivan addresses the media. And, I thought Pete actually gave a great response, just or good insight knowledge about how coaches deal with the media. Like he said, twice on game day, every practice day, he said like 400 times basically during an NHL season. And listen, it's hard to come up with creative questions every time too. Like I'm not a beat reporter, so I'm not there asking questions every day. Mike Sullivan really only deals with me, in post-game situations. But I watch, all the YouTube videos from practice days and whatnot to see what he's asked, so I don't repeat any questions. But with Mike Sullivan, just to answer the question from Laffy MYR13, like, yeah, he's very well thought out in his responses right now, where, I think Laviolette was like that at the start, but as time goes on, I think your team better. You don't have to almost think about the question as you're speaking it. While right now, I still think Mike Sullivan, the questions we ask, he's still learning this team. We're only 25, 30 games in, like he's figuring out what the answer is as he's telling it, because, I think it is still so new to him, even though he's coached against the Rangers for so many years. Like he's still learning what each individual guy is like. And Colby, you could speak to it as a coach. You got to manage relationships of 20 plus different people. It's not just going out and telling a guy to do something. It's like, how does this guy respond to when I yell at him? How does he respond to when I'm light on him? When does his button needs to be pushed?
It's not only that, Jonny, like one thing that I've seen too, I mean, when you're talking to one player, you have to basically know that, especially at our level, at the junior level, you're actually talking to everyone. I have a private conversation with a player. I have to make sure that, again, I'm completely genuine and honest into it, because these guys are going back into the room after and telling their teammates what you talked about.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've seen it as far as texting with a player who then screenshots your conversation and sends it to his teammates. And then by accidentally sends it to you, by accident, you know what I mean?
Oh, you've had that happen?
So the reality is that's where it's so much easier to just be blunt and honest with these guys, because you're never going to get yourself in trouble, because you're just blunt and honest. You don't have to keep track of any stories, any narratives, any bullshit, any lies, because it's like you're just blunt and honest with the guys, even though some of the times they don't want to hear it. But you're just blunt and honest with guys. And listen, even going back to Jake Ottinger, he'll at some point, I haven't seen any of his comments or whatever, but like at some point you reflect on all those moments in your life. And
I think he's already like up to it and said like he agreed with the decision at the time. I'm pretty sure he said that.
So like even in the moment, like I think of some of the harshest moments I had with Bruce Cassidy, with Jack Parker, with David Quinn, even getting run over a little bit by Don Sweeney or Peter Chiarelli. Like you in the moment, it's not great. But now when I think about these things, you appreciate them, especially the moments that were blunt truths that actually helped you develop as a person. And you don't realize it then, Jonny, but you realize it as you get older, and then maybe you're a coach or you're a GM or you have children or, whatever the case may be. And those messages and those moments become more clear to you. And I'm still young. I'm not 40 yet. And I think 40 is young at this point, actually. Like, listen, I know people that are well into their 50s and 60s that are still totally young at heart, and they're buzzing around, and more and more people refuse to grow up because they don't necessarily have to anymore. And we're all so interconnected by our cell phones. But look, it's it's just important that you're blunt and you're straight with guys. And listen, people have complained about DeBoer before and said, because he's too blunt on guys, and apparently that will wear guys down. Listen, Bruce Cassidy's the same way. That's why a guy like Pete DeBoer will keep getting hired, because he's a really good coach and he's really blunt. And yeah, eventually there's an end of the road, but there's an end of the road for most things. These are just public ends of the road.
I will say, I actually had this happen 3 weeks ago. I don't even know if I told you this, Colby, but I was, I go to UMass, a lot of weekends to do the games for the broadcast and whatnot. But every year we do like an alumni game. It's really just like me and a lot of the guys from like the 80s and 90s. I'm like by far the youngest guy out there. But Carve does a cool like little, hour Q&A in the video room where like all the older UMass alumni can ask him questions about the current team. He actually like he took us through like a video session from the game at BC from the night before, and like showed us what he showed the guys and like how brutally honest he was in the video session. But after that, I actually had a really nice like embrace with Carve. And again, like I tell you all the time, I tell our listeners all the time, like that was the hardest coach I've ever had in my life, and that was like the probably most like insecure I'd ever been as a player in my life. But now, and what it's done for me now, like I gave him a huge hug, and I was like, I don't know if I've ever had a chance to actually thank you. Like in the moment, like maybe I didn't appreciate it and I fucking hated it, but everything in my life has been so much easier for me now just because of all the lessons that I learned playing for you. And like he really appreciated that too. And I think he's also learned over the years, right? Like he's not as hard on players now that he maybe was when I was there. And I think, that's part of the evolution of not only being a coach or being a player, but being a person is like learning people as you continue to go. And, now the players, they say he's a totally different guy than what he was from when I was there. And I don't know. It was a very like emotional moment for me, honestly, like to have that with him. He's obviously not a guy who was like the first guy to hug you, right, and bring you in, but it was
he's not warm. He's not warm and fuzzy, Greg Carville.
But it was a very warm and fuzzy moment, and
and
I thought I'd just share my personal experience.
This is usually where I would make fun of you, but I'm not going
to. But it was very nice.
I know that there is something sacred about those moments and those relationships that you have with coaches and the perspective that you get on the other side of them. So
I have a great story, actually.
I'm not actually going to make fun of you. I'm not actually going to make fun of you for it because I know exactly what you're talking about.
All of our corporate America people will like this one. So again, like speaking of Carv, I was called into my manager's office at my last job at Sinclair, the tennis channel where I did sales before I ended up going full time in hockey. And my manager was like, you like, she was basically saying like, it's weird how you treat the CEO the same as you treat like your coordinator. And I was like, am I supposed to treat everyone differently? And she was like, she was like, no, but like, I feel like you should be like a little bit more like afraid of like the higher ups. And I was like, to be honest, I played for the hardest man in the world and I won't be afraid of anybody else. Like that was literally straight up what I said. Like as a player, I was like, I'm sorry. I'm not going to say the name of my manager, but I'm sorry. I will never be afraid of you. Like that's like literally straight up what I said. And I was like, I'm so not built for corporate America.
Listen, I say that to you with some of your other positions in jobs. I tell you don't respect the hierarchy in some of your other situations well enough either. I've said that to you before too, but
I just treat everyone the same. Yeah, I treat everyone the same.
Charm. You're a golden retriever and you wag your tail and you just want to go for a walk and be loved. And that's
I just couldn't believe that I said that to like my manager.
It's what makes you so lovable. It's what makes you so lovable. Jeremiah in the chat is asking, Colby, do you think you would have been better as a winger? Jeremiah, it's a good question. Probably not. I mean, my dad switched me back to playing defense when I was in 9th grade. I played defense on my Titans team and forward on my high school team in 9th grade. 10th grade was my first year. I was full-time defenseman. And then in 11th grade, I went to the U.S. national development team. So I'd only really been playing D for 2 years. And I was a fucking disaster defensively. Like disaster. I don't know if I ever told the story about what Ron Ralston said to me. Ron Ralston, associate head coach at Providence, was head coach of the Buffalo Sabres, head coach in the American League. I mean, Ron Ralston's had has had a great career as a head coach. And I mean, he said one of the harshest things to me that any coach has ever said. He didn't swear, but it was brutally harsh. And it was because I just had no idea how to play defense, Jeremiah. I really didn't know. It wasn't until I got to college and I had David Quinn really teach me how to play the position. So, I don't know the answer to that. I will say this. I really was close to playing in Kitchener. It was a real possibility. I mean, for me to go fly up there with my family, my advisor at the time, was still as close to me in the world as anyone, Jordan Newman, and we went up there. We did a visit. We met the coaches. We saw the facilities. We went to a game. There was a stall with a jersey in it with my last name on it, which was a cool touch. I still remember it,
cool.
Especially it was a Rangers jersey. It was that
they
used almost the same.
Yeah, the red, white, and blue. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I just remember like being in like, oh my God, like how cool. That was the first time anything like that ever happened to me. And when Pete DeBoer looks at you and says, you're going to be a really good player for me, but I'm going to put you on right wing, Jeremiah, there's something to that. The guy knows what he's doing. So who knows what would have happened? Who knows? My skating was a problem, so that probably would have hurt me getting up and down the wing, especially as the game got fast. But who knows? So long answer to a short question. That's what I'm good for.
I want to chime in on that, though. I want to chime in because I actually, like in beer league now and roller hockey, like the hockey I play now, I was a right winger and now I play D. Like I think playing D is so much more fun. And if I could go back, I probably would have played defense. And I think
Well, the whole
if you're
game's
a
in front of
hockey,
you.
that's exactly what I was going to say. If you're a hockey parent and you want your kid to be a smart hockey player, throw them on D as like a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, however old they are, because I think you learn the game better by being a defenseman. Plus, like, honestly, being a forward, you skate way more. Like, it's way more fucking exhausting being a forward. You got to forecheck, you got to back check, you got to do every little thing. D, you get to chill on the blue line in the offensive zone. I guess D now they're more mobile, and it's like really kind of like a 5-man rotation in the offensive zone versus a 3-man forecheck rotation. But I just remember, like, when I was actually, getting scratched and I had to, be like the 9th defenseman, 8th defenseman in practice, I'd be like, wow, this is way more chill up here. Like, I should be a fucking defenseman.
Well, the only thing about playing D though, Jonny, is your mistakes are magnified when you're a defenseman.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that I think people, they don't. It's a harder position, and your mistakes are magnified. So, and I think honestly, like, one of the reasons that I think that I was able to help and be an offensive defenseman is because I understood the forward position, and I knew where to put the puck. You know what I mean? Like, I understood where forwards wanted the puck because I played forward for so long, and I thought that was really, really helpful for me as a young player. I think that I think that, doing both is great. I don't know if I'd say put your kid on defense or put your kid on offense. Defense, you get more ice time and you touch the puck more, no doubt about that. But I think learning the game from all positions is important. I don't think declaring your kid a defenseman when they're 7 or 6 is the right decision. I don't think declaring them a forward at 7 or 6 is the right decision. Don't declare your kid a goalie, though. That's the one thing I can laugh about with you. Like, save yourself the headaches of the goalie, okay? Don't go down that road. So let me say one more thing, Jonny, and then we'll get to Bet365.
What if I want to say one more thing after your one more thing?
You don't get to, especially because you tried to send the army against me with my Jack Eichel comments yesterday. The video I posted, the words most complete player.
That's not what we talked about, though.
Yes, it is. He's part of the big three.
You say he's a top 3 guy.
To me, he's the most complete player in the NHL. Now, all the Barkov people came after me, and I'm saying, look, I put Barkov right there with Eichel. They're you're flipping a coin on most complete player in the NHL. Barkov's been out the whole year. So, I'm not including him in that statement right now because he's not playing. Yes, fake death, right shot. Right shot, yes. So, but I do want to just say I wrote most complete player in the NHL, and I stand by that comment 1,000%. I stand by that comment. And I was wondering, David Naraki, if you were here in the chat. My buddy Dave, he's a Philadelphia Flyers Warrior. He's a veteran, and his son is a goalie. So I actually was wondering if he would be here in the chat today. We've laughed about that before. Never letting your kid be a goalie, but that's what I wanted to just address that from yesterday, because I'm not necessarily saying he's the best talent in the NHL. I still think McDavid, I still think McKinnon more talented, but most complete player. There is 3 zones. It's not just about points. Right? There is 3 zones. And the argument I'll make here, because people are like, oh, he's not even as close to as good as Draisaitl. McDavid and Draisaitl haven't won a cup. Okay? McKinnon has. Okay? Barkov has 2. Eichel has 1. Right? And I think McDavid will get cups. I'm not saying he's a bad defensive player. I just mean, I think from a completeness standpoint, I'd put Jack Eichel as the most complete guy in the league right now. Barkov, when he's back, when he's healthy, he has something to say about that. But that's, to me, there is a difference between, like, the most talented player. That's why I said he's part of the big 3, but those 2 guys would still be ahead of him overall. Okay? That is because the comments, again, people don't even read it. And they're like, oh, he's not even as talented as this guy. He doesn't have as many points as that guy. That wasn't the comment or the question. Jonny, anything to say? You look like you're reading something which you didn't hear anything I just said.
No, I
okay.
heard everything. I heard everything you said. I heard everything you said. I was trying to form a question out of it, but like, if you're going into a playoff series, is Jack Eichel the first player you're taking? Like, that's kind of what I'm gathering from your opinion.
So you're saying like I can.
If you're going into a seven game series, who's the first player in the NHL you want on your team?
And I'm like building a fantasy roster
for a playoff series, yeah. Because to me, that's kind of what you're saying. You're saying Eichel and Barkov are 1 and 2.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say I would be sitting there debating: do I want Jack Eichel as my number 1 center, or do I want Cale Makar as my first pair defenseman? And
you wouldn't even consider like a goalie. You wouldn't consider a goalie.
Oh, well, that was the next thing I was going to say. Or I'd have to probably think about which superstar goaltender I wanted. But again, it's such a unique hypothetical, Jonny, which again, I'm not a fan of, because like how do you?
Yeah, but you're the one making the argument. You're the one making the argument.
Well, but I'm just talking about most complete player. Again, those other guys haven't won a cup. They just haven't. And it's like, like McDavid's numbers in the playoffs have been unbelievable, but it hasn't been enough to get the cup. It would still be hard not to take Connor McDavid. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it'd be easy not to take Connor McDavid, right? So for our Oilers fans, like I'm not saying that, but right now, I think the most complete player that I'm watching play in the National Hockey League night in and night out right now is Jack Eichel. That is what I feel. And so that's where I'm going with it, and everyone's going to have a different opinion, and that's fine, but that's where I'm going with it. Okay, Mr. Bet365.
Yeah. I was asking the question. I'm like looking at playoff stats right now from the last, I guess since Vegas won the cup. I mean, McDavid's playoffs.
What would be more interesting for you to do though is sport logic it and look at some of the deeper numbers.
Yeah,
I think
I love sports
more
logic,
than
by
just
the way.
Goals and assists, because goals and assists matters. You don't win without goals and assists. Like if Connor McDavid doesn't score 4 million points, they don't get to the finals. You know what I mean?
Can I just tell you though, can I just tell you, Connor McDavid? I want you to just guess this number. This is
I don't want to guess
insane.
It. Just say it. It's insane.
No.
I'm sure it's insane.
No. In Connor McDavid's last 59 playoff games, so this goes back to 2022-23, the year Vegas won the cup. Just guess how many points he has in 59 playoff games.
I don't.
Please guess. Please guess. I'm making you guess.
I'm not going to guess. And I told you 10:15 I had to get off the air today. So tell me the number and then do Bet365.
Now you're gonna rush the end of the show after you just go on a rant about Jack Eichel. You're gonna make me rush my ending because you have to get off. It was 95 points in 59 playoff games. That's
I thought it was going to be over 100. Honestly, I thought
that's
it'd be over 100.
Insane.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
And 58 even strength points. 58 even strength points in 59 games. That's insane.
Yeah, it's insane. That's why I said it's not a slam dunk answer. It's not a slam dunk easy answer. So
yeah,
you won last night.
Let's do bet.
Right? You picked the Red. Didn't you pick the Blackhawks last night?
Nope.
Oh, that's right. It was the Johnny Jinx night. I forgot.
Yep. Tonight, hopefully it's not a Johnny Jinx because we're rooting for this guy. So tonight's bet of the night presented by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Remember to download the app and get in on the game. You must be 19 or older. We're going to go with the Montreal Canadiens on the money line. We are taking Jacob Fowler, believing in him. This is his NHL debut, correct? I don't think he's made a regular season NHL start yet. He played preseason, but not regular season. So we're going to take Fowler, the former Boston College Eagle, on the Montreal Canadiens. Hopefully he can get on the right track. I guess I got to ask you this too, Colby. They said it on TNT the other night, Islanders Vegas, that Bruce Cassidy said it will be Carter Hart's choice if he wants to play or not tonight in Philadelphia. Do you think he does?
Then he's going to play. Yeah. If it's his choice, he's going to play. No.
That's what they were saying that Bruce Cassidy said.
No player being given the choice to play or not play isn't going to play. So I don't know Carter personally by any means.
Yeah, me either.
But I mean, if you say to him, you can play, he's playing. I mean, and if he doesn't and it's his choice, then maybe he shouldn't be back in the league, honestly, because you better be ready to face the music, buddy. Like you made a horrible error in judgment with your actions. So if you're going to be given the chance to play, get in that fucking net and face the music, right? Like as much as we're going to praise what the guy has done a little bit on the ice so far, like we're not going to just sit here and pretend either, right? Like if you're being given the net, you're taking the net, or you don't belong back in the league, honestly. So he, you know, if that's how Bruce Cassidy's handling it, then I think we'll see him starting.
Yeah, I won't be able to watch, so I need you to be all eyes on that one. I'm in Fargo, North Dakota.
Flyers games right now. I can't fucking watch Flyers games. It's a joke. Fubo TV doesn't have it's a joke, and I'm not switching again. I'm done switching fucking streaming platforms. So unless somebody has a YouTube TV that they want to let me use for tonight, I'm fucking done. I went to YouTube TV. I went to fucking Fubo. I needed NHL Network. It's a pain in the ass. It's a total fucking pain in the ass that I can't watch Flyers home games right now. It seriously pisses me off.
One last thing. I know I mentioned merch in the chat. We are having that discussion this week about potential like coffee mugs maybe or something, maybe hats, but we can update you guys with that next week. I want to have a more.
I have ESPN Plus, Ian. I have it.
And it's probably blacked out. It's blacked out.
Unless it's an ESPN exclusive, hopefully it is. But if it's not an ESPN exclusive, it gets blacked out for me here. So people are telling me it's on ESPN. So hopefully,
let me look. I'm looking right now.
It's an exclusive on ESPN. Otherwise, I can't see it. So Jonny, great job today. Seriously, great job today.
That was a great guest.
Vic, great job to you as well. This was your idea when you said, hey, reach out to Pete. Let's get him on. So, Vic, you get the apple. You know, I banged in the backdoor feed from you guys and got it solidified. But Pete was great. Give us a like on today's episode. I mean, I want to see 200-300 likes on this episode because this was tremendous. It really was. I'm probably going to listen to this back in the car. I'm about to get in the car for an hour and a half. So I'm going to listen to this in the car just to hear Pete again. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, go to audio downloads. I've seen a bunch of new reviews on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Keep those going. All right. Keep hitting that review button for us. Even if you're not an audio person and you're a YouTuber, do me a favor, go leave us a review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Hit that 5-star button. Johnny's a great Uber driver, so let's make sure we give him 5 stars. Johnny, good luck out in Fargo. Tell Brett Skinner and Joey Mullen I said hello. We'll be looking for a Mason. We'll be looking for a Mason West status update and some analysis on how he looks in the USHL. Johnny, we can find those games on Flow Hockey this weekend.
Flow Hockey.
Want to watch Fargo play and listen to Johnny do color for some USHL games. So that's great. You'll have to ask Glenn how his meeting with the NHL Board of Governors went. We'll ask you to report back on that next week.
And Tynan Lawrence was number 1 yesterday on Pronman's.
Yeah, on the athletic prospects rankings. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I mean,
no, listen, it's good. I'm not discounting it. I just, I don't. This the people who cover prospects and that are writers. I just, especially there in particular. So, all right, guys, we love you. We hope everybody has a great day. Everyone's telling me it's an ESPN exclusive, so I won't be blacked out tonight on my cable here in Villanova, PA. Like, not being able to watch a home game is the dumbest thing ever. Great job all week. Johnny, great job today. Chat, you guys are great. We hope everybody has a great weekend. Do what we ask, please. Leave the reviews on the audio onlys. Leave some comments on the stream. Reshare the stream so people see the interview with Pete DeBoer. And we'll see everybody next week on Monday morning, 9 a.m. as we always do. Have a great weekend.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Morning Cup of Hockey here on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. And don't forget, we've got more great hockey content every day. You can catch DFO live at noon and stick around for the Sheet with Jeff Marek at 1 p.m. right here on Daily Faceoff. Until then, keep your coffee hot and your takes hotter.